actors say it's soul destroying. You go for an audition, you see other people, you think, I'm not going to get the job here. Do you, or have you had to audition during, like, or do they naturally give it to you because of what you've done?
Well, you do get asked to do things now. I've been very lucky in the fact that, you know, they asked me to do Benidorm rather than audition. But sometimes you get a job by a complete mistake. You know, I was at the TV Cut Awards in 2006 and Benidorm had won Best Comedy of the first year. And I had a chance, I met Darren Linton, the writer, afterwards. And I said, oh, congratulations, well done, you know. So I really liked the show, it's really funny. And he said, would you like to do one? I said, oh, I'd love to do one. Well, by this time, we're at the party after the show, and it's all free drinks, and we'd all had a few beers, as it were, and we drinking beers. And he said, well, what would you like to play? And I said, I don't know. I said, something nobody would expect me to play. I said, after a few beers. I said, transvestite. And anyway, I went home that night, woke the next morning with a bit of a headache. And I forgot all about it. Anyway, 6 weeks later, the script arrived, and I looked at it. And here's me playing a transvestite. And I thought, oh my God, please, transvestite. So I thought, well, how am I going to play this transvestite? There's lots of ways to play a transvestite, you know. And I didn't want to, you know, insult the gay community or anything like that by being camp or anything like that. So I thought, right, what I'll do is I'll be the butchest transvestite you've ever seen. And that's what I did. And you know, I'm a huge fan of Tommy Cooper, so I based my laugh. I nicked that from Tommy, you know, when he does the I just sort of half nicked that. And I loved Dick Emery. Remember Dick Emery, the wonderful old Dick Emery? He couldn't walk in high heels with bandy legs. So I got that from Dick Emery. And of course, Les Dawson, Sissy Lear, Roy Barraclough and Les Dawson were brilliant. There was never a question of Les ever being a woman. You know, he was always a man. So I nicked a bit of that and I put all my sort of heroes into the one part. So the whole thing came as an accident, if you see what I mean.
Yeah, I mean, that's an interesting thing, taking, I hadn't noticed that. You took bits of a lot of different people and rolled them together.
Yeah, my heroes, yeah. I love Les Dawson, I love Tommy Cooper. In fact, all I wanted to be as a teenager was Tommy Cooper as a little boy. That's all I wanted to be was Tommy Cooper. And then I remember I borrowed my dad's Triumph Herald when I was 17. We drove to Blackpool. And I said to my mates, I said, right, I said, I'm going to get in the car and I'm not going to come out of the car until I can do Tommy Cooper's voice. And I locked myself in this Triumph Herald all those years ago for 4 hours. And after 4 hours, I opened the door like that. And I closed the door like that. And that was it. It never went away. No, it didn't. It never went away. It never went away. It stayed there all the time. Ever since then, it's never gone away.
So if anyone here wants to try it, you've got to be happy to try and herald, or could it be anything?
Yeah, well, I love cars, you know. My dad had Triumph Herald, it was pride and joy actually, but we used to go on holiday then in the early 70s when people first started going abroad. You remember they would go to Greece, you'd leave me with a car, so I'd have a car for 2 weeks.
What was your first car?
My first car was a Riley Elf, which is like, if you remember, like a posh Mini. It was a Mini with little fins on the back. And a wooden dashboard, you remember it? Leather seats, you know, I paid 85 quid for it, I remember. And that was my first car, yeah.
What about your first gig on stage, where you went from not being an actor to being an actor? Was that nerve-wracking that very first time you got a gig?
Well, my first time was as a little boy, like I said, playing Henry. I just fell in love with the whole thing, you know. All I wanted to be was an actor, and of course in those days, if you're a work-class lad from Newcastle in the early 60s, it was unheard of because all actors then were middle class or upper class, you know. They weren't any working class actors, as it were, you know. So when I decided I desperately wanted to be an actor, everybody said, "What are you talking about, Charlie? You're still an actor. You're a puff." People used to actually say things like that, you know. So it was actually an extraordinary thing to do. So I was very lucky to be one of the first ever actors with an accent. Of course, now it's quite hip. It's fantastic.
Essential now, I think.
It's lovely to have an accent. I mean, the television is full of wonderful accents. And the thing about Great Britain, England, is that every 10 miles you travel, the accent changes. And now we use them, you know, on the TV. But until about 1970, you know, if you went to drama school in the 60s, the first thing they did was they got rid of your accent. They're almost like sausage machines in those days, you know. They put these sausages in, and everybody came out to sing. Everybody sort of spoke like that, you know, saying, no accent at all, and everyone started to sing.
Did you have any roles where you had to do that?
Yes, I've done, yeah, she's done one of them there for you. Keep on one of them. But, yeah, so I was very lucky that I was born at the right time, you know. And of course, WIEDERSEHEN, when WIEDERSEHEN first came on the telly, they were thinking about putting subtitles on the bottom. Because the accents were for the first time, even Coronation Street, and the likely lads, they had to sort of tone it down a little bit, not too jolly, just for the people in the south so they can understand, you know what I'm saying? Whereas by the time we did WIEDERSEHEN, and boys from the Black Stuff, of course, from Liverpool here, you know, same thing, Yossa. We started using real accents and real people, and it was a big gamble for TV to do that. But an accent is almost like a piece of music, you know, you fall into the rhythms, and thank God they did do the accents properly on programs like WIEDERSEHEN and Boys from the Black Stuff, because it makes it completely real and honest and true. And if you stick with it, no matter where you're from, it's like a piece of music. You listen in, and eventually you get to hear everything they're saying. It's just locking into the accent, you know. Now it's very trendy to have an accent.
Oh, it's great. It's people who lose their accents through TV and what have you. I love regional dialects. But that, I'm going to say, that really broke so many people. I mean, I don't know whether you realised at the beginning how big it was going to be.
No, none of us had any idea. I remember making a cameraman laugh, you know, and the crew were a lot older than we were. We were just young lads at the time. And I remember them saying, you know, this is going to be huge. And of course we didn't have any idea, but I think it hit true because it was a comic look at Thatcher's Britain. And at the time there were 30,000 Brits working abroad because of the unemployment situation in 1983. There were more than 3 million unemployed. And the construction industry had broken down, along with the shipyards and the mines, of course. So all these poor people had these dreams, these young men, of going abroad and saving up their money and coming back and buying a little house up in the northeast somewhere, like Neville's character, and hopefully he's in bed, you know. But of course that never happened. They all got there and what did they do? They lived in the huts, and you go out the weekend and drink it all, don't you?
But it made stars of all of you in there, did actually.
Well, it was like a springboard, you know, like a trampoline for all of us. We all went off and did our own thing, so I was just very, very lucky to have been around at the right time. To say that, you know, there's a lot of luck in this. I think you've got to be able to handle the job, but if you are in the right place at the right time, you've been very lucky. I consider myself very lucky, you know.
And some of the greats you work with, I mean, who inspired you as you were working and thought, what a nice person? Because often you don't expect people to be that nice, and when they are, you think, oh, this is wonderful, they're so kind to me, they're making me feel good.
Oh, yeah. I think my favourite would be Michael Caine. I did a movie called Shadowrun with him, and 90s. And I turned up there, I remember turning up, I was a little bit nervous. We filmed it all around his house in Healy on Thames. And he arrived in this big car, and I was a bit nervous to meet him. And he came straight to me and he went, mate, how you doing? You want a cup of tea? You want a cup of tea? I went, oh yeah, that's right. He took me into his Woody Babo, and I sat there, Michael Cairns making me a cup of tea, you know. And he was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. And taught me so much about acting. He had to murder me actually. He had to really beat me up badly, punch me, and then he puts my head in a horse trough and holds me down in the water. And he said to me, he said, look, mate, he said, you can't damn. Come up when you like. Can't damn when you like. Come up when you like. And he had his hand on the back of my neck, was just touching the back of my neck, like so gently. And of course I'm doing the whole thing. I said, yeah, we're acting. Yeah, we're only acting, mate. Yeah, you do it, you know. And he never laid a finger on me. And right at the end, he had to get a belt and put it around my neck. And it's the last shot, we shot this the last shot of the film because you had to pull this belt on my neck and I had to go blue, my face had to go blue. So the director said to me, will you just, try and go as blue as you can. And then I was showing cut, you see. So again, Michael's got this leather belt around the back of my neck. And it's just touching my skin, barely touching my skin, you know. And he's going, it's looking like it's blue. And I'm blue, and I went like this, I went. And I blew until I thought, I'm going to pass out, you know. And then I stopped, and the director said, cut! And I said, was that all right? And I got this massive round of applause. They all thought I died. They all thought I died. And I said to Michael, did I go blue? He said, go blue, Jimmy. He said, you mean, I said, sorry, I said, did I go red? I said, did I go red? Like, he said, go red. He went, I'm in blue, Jimmy. I'm in blue, mate. And anyway, end of the story is next day I was doing a furniture commercial in Soho. So I've gone from this fantastic movie with Michael Caine, this is being an actor, to do the furniture commercial. And I walked in on the set and this little gay guy came up to me. He said, hi Tim. He said, oh, what's happened to your eye? What's happened to your eye? What's happened to your eye? I said, what? What do you mean, man? Your eye looks your eye. So I looked in the mirror, and because I'd blown that hard, my whole left eye had gone bloodshot, you see. So I'm arriving to do this thing to camera for a furniture commercial with this eye that's completely shot. So anyway, we start doing the commercial, and I took the camera like this, and camera's there, and I go, buying a three-piece suite. Don't cut your eyes in. Sorry. Buying a three-piece suite. Don't cut your eyes in. And eventually I did this commercial, and I had to do the whole thing looking at the camera like this. And everybody afterwards said, what, you know that commercial that you do for the furniture here? Why are you posing about like that? Why are you posing about looking at the camera like that? And it was because I'd blown my eye on the movie.
And they still use you. I mean, normally now they use somebody else, wouldn't they?
Well, yeah, they just struggled all day, and I got it in eventually, yeah.
I love the direction, go as blue as you can, from the director.
Yeah.
It's a great line. Still open all hours, another great review, and that came back as well. That was always a good show.
Well, I was a huge fan of Ronnie Barker, and I was very flattered to be asked to, when I realised they were doing a sort of a follow-on to it, with Jason, it was, I jumped at it, they asked me to do it, and that was fantastic. All right. Yeah, David Jason, I got on great with great actor, great friend now, and great fun to do. So I used to do stuff like that. I think it's like old school, you know, it's harmless and it's a sort of comedy. You'd sit down with your grandma and your granddad and the kids, and it's harmless and just a bit of nice family fun.
Timeless and open all ours is still timeless. Dad's Army is still timeless.
Yeah.
That anyone can watch them, can't they?
Yeah. I love Dad's Army still. I still watch Dad's Army now, yeah.
Yeah, I think you might have gone off. Are you still there?
Yeah, I still watch Dad's Army now. I love Dad's Army.
It's amazing because all those people, when we watch old films, like on Talking Pictures or the TV, we imagine they're still there, but only think Ian Lavender is still with us. And
Yeah.
it's extraordinary. They all seem alive.
Yeah, Frank was the last one.
Yeah.
Frank, he just,
Yeah, Frank Williams, yeah.
Frank Williams, yeah, bless him. Yeah.
But as if you're committed like that, then you're always there.
Well, yeah, they're there in perpetuity, of course, aren't they? That's the great thing about great.
If you could pick one thing that you've done to be remembered for, if people could only watch one thing, one film or TV series of yours, what would you pick?
Well, yeah, see, sadly it would be a theatre piece, you know. People don't see you in the theatre, that's the other thing, do they? You know, I've probably done as much theatre as I have
Yeah.
TV. Some of my favourite roles have been in the theatre. I think you get more, you know, casting directors are a bit frightened to cast you in different roles, you know. I always play working class people because you automatically just think that I've got a Geordie accent, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Whereas in the theatre you get a chance to play. I once played I was 25 and I played an 11-year-old schoolboy who thought he was Elvis Presley. No, that's a challenge.
It's a bit weird, yeah, it is. Yeah.
That would be my favourite role I've ever played, and we did it, I think, theatre and education around the schools. It was a love story about two little boys, one little boy who was 11 and thought he was Elvis Presley. And he meets a little boy who's 11 who's got cerebral palsy. And it's an introduction to 11-year-old school children about the fact that this little boy's got cerebral palsy doesn't mean that he hasn't got a brain, and doesn't mean that he doesn't think like we do. And it's an introduction to handicapped people, and it became very, very popular on the school syllabus, and still do it now. 40 years later, it's still being done, played by C.P. Taylor, called Operation Elvis. And it became so popular that I did it live on BBC. We did a TV version of it too. So that would be my favourite role ever.
Why would they pick someone in their 20s to play an 11-year-old boy? That's an interesting choice.
Well, because we were all in our 20s, we were a theatre company. At that age, we were all early 20s.
Amazing. Okay.
Yeah.
Right, we've got some questions here from various people. This one's from Steve Jonah. It said, what was your best moment in WIEDERSEHEN? And what was your favourite episode? Do you have a favourite episode?
Got to be the first one. Because you're so excited about, you know, back to you. I can't believe I'm getting paid for this, you know. Because really, it's not really my job, it's my passion, it's my hobby. I've been so lucky to find something that's my passion.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I haven't been to work since 1969, you know, when I used to be a welder, and that was proper work then, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the first LBZ, we were so excited.
If it
The
all
fact
goes-
is that the food in the canteen was free, I couldn't believe it. They used to call me two dinners. Because I would go and have my dinner at lunchtime and they said to me, it's free. It's free! I said, what? So I'd go back and have another one.
So if a phone didn't ring, could you go back to welding?
Yes.
Yeah?
I didn't like it very much, but I did it for that. You never forget, yeah. I've welded some stuff since then, you know, helping people out, you know. I did serve my time, so I did it for a long time, yeah.
During serving time, you were also in the military, weren't you?
Well, yeah, because I hated the welding so much, I joined the 4th Battalion, the Parachute Regiment, the SAS, the Sackers and Sunders. What I call it. But it was when Ireland was just starting in the early 70s, so it looked like the TU were going to have to go to Northern Ireland as well. So then they gave me a Friday off, so I was a soldier 3 days a week, and I was a welder 4 days a week. And I got so fit in the parachute regiment. I did my wings and I did peak company, all that stuff, and did my basic training. I got so fit, I decided, no, I'm going to be an actor. And I just threw the gear down as well and walked out the factory. And I went to the local technical college and went on a drama course. But it was the army that gave me the confidence and the fitness to be able to pack the weather in, you know.
What can you tell us about working on Catterick with Vic and Bob?
Oh, well, Vic and Bob were fantastic.
Well, that was table, by the way.
Yeah, thank you. No, that was great fun. I mean, there's nothing better than going to work all day and just laughing your tits off all day, you know what I mean? And that was one of those jobs. It's just so surreal and just pure madness, you know. And again, you're getting paid for that. I mean, it's fantastic.
There's a question here, Tim, but I don't get it because I thought the first World Cup was in 1930. He said, who won the first Football World Cup in 1909 and 1911? But surely it was 1930 and Uruguay won the first World Cup in 1930. I thought, but anyway, there's the question. Who won the first Football World Cup in 1909 and 1911? Do you mean the FA Cup?
No, the World Cup.
The World Cup was...
The World Cup was won by West Auckland.
Ah, it's a trick question.
No, it's not a trick question. The first ever football cup was won by a team called West Auckland that were in the Northern Premier Division, second bottom, and they went out to Juventus and they played Stuttgart in the semi-final and they played Juventus in the final, and they won the first ever World Cup in 1910, and then they went back a year later and beat Juventus again 6-0. 6-1 was it? Yeah, so man's got the shirt on there. Got the shirt on.
Oh yeah.
They came back and then they came back and I mean nowadays they would have come back as massive local heroes. And if you drive through West Auckland, a little village in the northeast of England, there's a big sign that says, "Welcome to the home of the first World Cup." Now that's often a question on
It's a strange one because the actual first World Cup with countries was 1930, but this is interesting because, of course, the famous player up there was Bob Hardesty of Bishop Auckland.
Right.
And Crooktown were another big team at the time.
But West Auckland actually won the first ever football World Cup.
It's an interesting one, that.
That's
Yeah.
true story.
What I read here would know, what brought about the World Cup before the World Cup? Oh, yeah, what brought about the first World Cup?
I did a film called The World Cup Captain's Tale, and it was the true story of West Auckland. They were invited out to a world competition, which was sponsored by Sir Thomas Lipton, who was the big team man at the time. And he couldn't get some teams to play. The FA wouldn't allow them to play. So you had to choose this team called West Auckland. But the thing that they went out there and they beat Juventus and they beat Stuttgart in the semi-final and they beat Juventus in the final and actually won the first ever. That was the first ever football World Cup.
That's an interesting football question, that, because obviously it was a sort of private one, but Juventus, of course, got their colours from Notts County. Notts County sent them their shirts.
Like Newcastle United, black and white stripes.
It's like Arsenal playing red and white because Nottingham Forest sent them a set of shirts.
Oh,
That's interesting. That's a good one. Next time I'm on point.
True story,
yeah, very good. How did you, sorry?
I think Dennis Waterman did a TV.
That's it, Dennis Waterman did it was called the World Cup of Captain's Tale, and I played the fullback called Dirty Hoggy, and he actually saw me in that, making this big speech about winning the World Cup, and that's what got me out Vision Pet. So again, being luck again, so if I hadn't done the World Cup film, I wouldn't have been casting out Vision Pet. So I want you West Auckland, sir. I do. Yeah.
Lucky. How did you get your big break?
That's it.
For That was it. That was
it, yeah. Sorry.
There might be one more here. What's to say? How did you get the part in Benidorm? You told us that, the influence of your character, Rick, so that's the one you've been beat to that one, so yeah, we know that. Are you looking forward to the return of Waterloo Road? And can you say, where are you lads?
I'll say we are the lads, that's not a problem. Yeah, Waterloo Road was great fun, yes. It's coming back now, it's coming back down to Manchester, I think. I had great fun filming that in Rochdale. Yeah. I wasn't in it very much, my ex-wife did as well, she was a lot. She played a character called Steffi Duck, and I played a love interest in that. But it all went wrong, as it did in real life. Well, I've got a proper wife now.
So what next for you? Have you got any plans, any films, more TV coming out?
Well, just, whatever happens, you take it day by day, really. And like I said earlier, I think you tend to play older parts, and there aren't as many juvenile leads. I was never a juvenile lead, but I'm known as a young daft one or whatever. So I'll just have to wait and see. I tend to only do stuff really that really turns me on, to be honest with you. I'm very lucky in the fact that, I don't really have to work like I used to, I still run a couple of charities that I'm very proud of. I'm up down to the northeast all the time, even though we live in Cheshire now. So that keeps me busy, and I'm very happily married again. We're all mates, me, my ex-wife and my new wife are all friends, so all that's good. Kids are great. Couldn't be happier. It was nice to talk to you too, and it's a delight to be here in Liverpool, and well done for the Eurovision Song Contest. Fantastic!
Yeah. I mean, it's fantastic. Somebody on Twitter yesterday from Glasgow said, why did Glasgow get it? What have Liverpool ever done for music?
Yeah,
parody account, surely. But yeah, I mean, absolutely fantastic. Great for the local economy as well. Great for music. I still feel that now people are sort of, let's choose that song. I still thought it was fair when British songwriters could put their songs in. I'd often be on the show and have 800 songs. We whittle them down to 100, down to 50, down to 10. So it gave British songwriters the chance, people that were out there in the field, maybe that chance to get their song in. But now they kind of pick them from well-known writers.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head there, I think, yeah.
You could be in the Eurovision this year. Do you sing at all?
Do I sing? I used to sing when I didn't laugh at me guys. Yeah. So yeah, I used to use singing. I was a stand-up comic. I used to be funny. I did. But if I was struggling, I would drop a song in. Yeah.
I think when you're struggling, stop singing. I love it. Wonderful stuff.
Yeah.
Great stuff. What can I say? The wonderful Mr. Tim Healy.
Fantastic.